Morning. I'm sure about 90% of you do not see things the way I see things, and that's fine. You're probably not genetically made to be that way. It's no fault of your own. You can't pick your parents. But you can go through life thinking you're nuts. I'm definitely not nuts. I definitely understand how I think. So let's get on with it. So let's talk COVID. Let's talk why governments do certain things and how you react and how they track you and how they know exactly if you are listening to what they tell you to do. And they also can see modeling from many different sources and can see the effect of both when they close a bar or stop a ski resort or close down things. So, because I'm really tired of explaining this so many times over and over, it's just so much easier to make a video. So let's just start here. Right here on the screen, you're looking at a DC ski post, and you can go there yourself and see how everybody's gonna, oh, I'm gonna do this, and how are they gonna catch me, and yada, yada, yada. You get the point. Trust me, the government looks at this stuff. We have AI that pulls these comments. That's one way the government knows what people do and how they react to certain things that we're dealing with under COVID. So I don't make this up. I know this stuff for a fact, but I can't tell you why. So there you go. So you can go there. Now, how does the government know? And when I say government, I mean your state, your health department. I don't mean Big Brother because they really don't care about us. Okay? They care about not killing people with COVID and the effect on the economy, and they have to balance that. So let's just go here. What you want to look up is non-pharmacological interventions or non-pharmaceutical interventions. And what that means is a simple way for the government to run a model and see what is happening. And the CDC produces it. There's videos on it, and basically it's spreadsheet modeling. And the people will say, what if we close bars at midnight from 2 a.m.? How will that affect the curve 2 weeks later? Or what if we close all the bars? Or what if we limit 25% capacity? I think you get the point here. If you don't, well, you might as well not even watch the rest of this or listen to the rest of this because it's not going to do you any good. 40% of you probably are in denial syndrome, and that's fine because it's well documented. Look up Anna Freud. She has a whole big series on that. It's when you get all the real facts in front of you and your mind just won't deal with it. And you just shut down. And again, it's a normal thing, and I expect that from 40% of the population, just like 1918, because history does repeat. So, with that, the next thing we want to know is how does the government or other people know where you are? It's pretty simple. All you got to do is look up your mobility trends. This happens to be from Apple, and the other one that I use is from Google. And you can go down to your county level. And it basically comes like this. Unless you remove the battery out of your cell phone, it is always telling people or telling the cell tower where you are. For instance, that's the only way it works. Okay, that's how you get calls. And that's how it can contact you. It basically knows if your phone has a battery in it, they know where you are. Simple as that. Why a lot of phones now you cannot remove the battery. Isn't that interesting? The other thing think about is, do we really have a coin shortage? Everybody I see is dumping coins in the coin machine to get hard cash. There is no coin shortage. That's a crock. Okay? They do SNAP. They do every single government program that is called a safety net. All of it is on credit card. They can track you that way. They don't really care about you personally. They just want to see the overall effects. All right, so you got that, I think, by now. So let's go over here in this one. This is my own page, and I put it together for my ski racers because, A, I can't be typing in 1,000 URLs. Another thing to know about me is I'm a cord cutter. I haven't looked at Fox, CNN, or any of these other news stations for God knows how long. And there are another set of company, one called Sinclair Broadcasting, which obviously has TV stations, and yes, they will put out Trump ads. So don't give me this crap that only this station or this doesn't run his ads. The fact that Trump probably lost is he did not run ads on his accomplishments. It was always beat down, or something's a hoax, or yada yada. The problem is the month before the election, anybody that saw the data I saw that wave 2 was coming and it was going to be 3 times worse than wave 1. But then he's out there telling you, oh, don't wear a mask, don't do this. Again, Made no sense to me, but I can assure you, everyone that was on his campaign that had him moving in the right direction, he fired because they didn't give him the information he wanted to hear. So enough about Trump. He did it to himself. Now look at this screen. In this screen, right now we have daily new cases and your infection rate. When you go over 1.0, that means you're infecting people. When you're a little lower than 1, you're actually doing a good job, and you're going to see that fluctuate. The next is a positivity test rate. Again, that's going to fluctuate because you have a million people testing and most of them are negative. It's going to skew the number. It was obviously skewed in the beginning because most people that could get a test was pretty sick. So the positivity rate went up. The last number is called your ICU headroom used. Let's face it, when you go out to skiing places in the middle of nowhere, their hospitals are only set up for their general population, not the added people that brings recreation. And in a normal time, it wouldn't matter. But right now, it does. So the good news is I look at the regular flu tracker, and we're not seeing regular flu pick up kind of like it normally does every year. Yay! A lot of people went out and actually got a flu vaccine this year that normally didn't. And of course, washing hands, putting on masks will help regular flu. So we're real happy to see that because that obviously lowers your hospital overload rate. Now, some communities have no ICU. Some communities don't have big hospitals. So again, if you go out skiing and get really hurt, how long is it going to take you to get really good medical care? You may die getting there. And yes, it could be from a simple broken bone that pierces your artery. Sorry to be so graphic. So let's look at this. So on this page, I go in and update. And right here, if you haven't learned, this is made for cell phone, you can pull it down. So the first thing you want to look at, if you want to look at flu tracking, boom, here you go. This tells you where your flu is. I don't have to make up things. Everything's there. Well, of course, you got to do the disclaimer. Now, what's really cool here, if you look right in this section, they will tell you on the last 3 weeks what they're seeing. And it breaks it down actually by subtype. So the AH1 is your pandemic 2009. Yes, the 1918 flu is in your flu shot. The H3 one from 58 and 67 is in your flu shot. And then they give you 2 Bs that tend to circulate. So you can see your numbers here. We're doing really good. All right, you can do it by national level, public health labs, clinical. So clinical will pick up, but they don't really go as deep as in the actual subtype, but they do give you a type A and B. So again, it means that the powers that be picked a good set. Well, the type A's never really change. The type B's will, but you can see that they have to guess that, obviously 6 months ahead, and they've done a wonderful job. By the way, we're really in, this is about a 7 to 10 day lag. We're usual flu starts at around week 47, as they call it. So we're getting there, but we're not seeing it go up. And, you know, God bless you all. You actually went out and got a flu shot, and it really does show in the data. So from that, let's go back to my handy link page. All right. So that's your first model. This next graph here is what we call an aggregate ensemble of data. And this actually came out, and this was for the December 19th, and you notice all of our graphs are going up. Well, if you look today, they've actually flattened. That means A, you're listening. B, maybe we got lucky. We're still looking for the spike 14 days about after any holiday. So we're still worried about what's coming up. So again, your government doesn't fly blind. I don't fly blind. Most of you are blind because in your daily life, you're never going to look at this junk. I get it. So I might as well tell you how to see it. Okay, so CDC here will forecast everything. And like I say, look, the curve is, look, you're flattening the curve, people. You just don't know it because the news will not take time to tell you. I'm really impressed when I saw this come up. I've actually seen the death rates go down. You're doing your job. So don't, stick with it. You're actually making a difference, but nobody told you. So here on this page, you can get your forecasts for death. Over here on the left, you have death, hospitalization, how many cases. So again, they also give you a summary. So now they're predicting anywhere from, say, a little over 500,000 to 1.7 million new cases from December 20th to 26th. So we're actually doing a little better, and I hope that really pans out. You can actually go down to state and county, and they do tell you all the different source models they use. They don't just use one, people. We never just use one. They all fluctuate. So again, go there, get educated. It's kind of fun. And the next place you can go, and there are many models. This is one of the models they use. It's called healthdata.org. And in here, what's really cool is you can compare different states. And what I normally do is get rid of easing, rapid rollout just changed. That's your vaccine deployment, and mask. And when you do that, you can see where we are. So let's just look at infections and testing, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to get rid of mask, get rid of rapid rollout, and easing. So what do you see in this graph? Well, any second grader who takes data analysis, yes, they teach second graders this stuff. This was your first wave overall for United States of America. You clearly see wave one. You clearly see what I call a mini wave, but it really was wave two. And it happens when? Right after a major holiday, when they kind of let us out. Okay, we weren't really out in May. You see it pretty much stay the same. Now, what do you see? Right here is where we are today. We're getting ready to peak. Remember, I said that everybody peak is going to be probably for Maryland, PA, about the end of first week January. I don't make this stuff up. I look at the graph. You can see also this graph is way higher in case infections than wave one, which means this one will be worse. And it normally looks that way. If you look at 1918 or any flu pandemic, it works this way every time. There is no guess. It's very, very easy. Now up here, what you can do is go to your state. You can bring in a few and compare them, and then you can see how each state does. If you look at poor New York and poor New Jersey in that wave one, it was just massive infection, and a lot of people died. And again, I didn't have to listen to the news. I could see it on the graph. All right, let's go back. Um, don't worry, my sisters even can't handle my data overload, as we call it. I'm going to take a second. We'll be back. All right, so that was a couple of models. Let's go down to a few others I use. The healthdata.org I just showed you. This one's called COVID Act Now. I like them because they have a really nice display, and they're an independent. And the good news is I saw a lot of these colors were all over, and they've actually backed off. Again, you're doing your job, whether you know it or not, wearing a mask, washing your hands, stopping your contacts, your parties. You know, sit at home and drink alone, go on Zoom. It's actually pretty fun. The point is you're doing your job. Now, if you look at Vermont, why are they a lesser degree than everybody else? They have a high, tight restriction. Maine, I think it's too cold, nobody goes. But Vermont has a very, very tight travel restriction, and it shows. So if you want to look at places, so I really care, let's say Pennsylvania, because I ski or I want to ski. So we're going to go over here, and what do you notice? This would be Somerset County, where Seven Springs is, Bedford County, which will be where Blue Knob is, Fulton, or actually Franklin is where Ski Whitetail is, and then Adams is where Ski Liberty is, and York is where Round Top is. So when let's just look at where everybody likes to go to Whitetail. We click on Fulton. What do we see? A very high case count, an infection rate above 1, a positive rate above 10, which is not good. You're getting back into the first wave we hit level. And you'll notice they don't have a lot of ICU rooms out there in their regional hospital. They're out in the middle of nowhere. They're 100% used. So if you get a heart attack, you're going to need ICU. You may not get it. That's the whole point of hospital overload. They actually look at 3 metrics before they shut you hard down. And one of them is how much hospital, where's your positive rate, and your daily case rate. This is not like rocket science, people. It is basic math, no even calculus here. So now you can look at a nice picture PA. Now, why would a county like a Lackawanna not be as bad? Believe it or not, it has to do with the racial demographic made up. Certain races do not get COVID as easy as other races. Not me picking it. I didn't design the virus, or whoever made it up, or if it was just a oopsie. I don't know. Again, you can look here at USA. So let's just look at our favorite state, Colorado. Let's see where they are aggregate. Right now, look at the infection rate. They've just done a pretty good job here, but their case rate's horrible. Their positive is above 10, and their headrooms is 70. Again, not bad. It's an aggregate, but you can see certain places in each county, the aggregate's worse. One's got a green, but I don't know where San Juan County is. So let's look at what the law says in Colorado. The law says in Colorado, when we get a certain amount of cases, they said 350 over 100,000. I think that's a joke because I don't think they're ever going to get there, even if everybody dropped dead. They look at their positive rate at 15.1% per their own law. That is one metric where they start shutting down. They will first limit you from 50% on the slope, which is what they're at now, to 25%, and then they'll do a hard shut. They also look at your hospital overload. Tracers hired, hey, I could care less about that. So that's how they do it. So let's look at a little place called Summit County, which a lot of resorts are. You notice their infection rate's above 1, their positivity rate is still below that magic number, but what they're thinking is as they open more runs and more people go to ski and travel from place to place, we expect that to go up. We don't know. We don't have a crystal ball. Maybe everybody heeds what they're telling you to do and it stays low and we kill less and less people get COVID. And by the way, when you get COVID, it's not a 2-week deal. Everybody I know that's had it is still got cough, headache, and everything else weeks and weeks and weeks after they're cleared to go back to work. COVID is called a long hauler, and it sticks with a lot of people. And you're not 99%, oh yeah, you don't die. No, you're just stuck with a freaking chronic disease for a while, and maybe for life, okay? So look up endothelium cells if you want to go that deep. They line all of your organs. They line your every single blood vessel. That's what COVID attacks. It's in your urine. The only thing they don't detect it in is breast milk. Thank goodness. So there you go again, people. I've rocked with a lot of data, and if your head's exploding, it's okay. My sister's heads explode all the time. All right. Last but not least. So that's COVID Act now. The next thing I keep here is, and I'll just show you, it's called Ski Industry. Now, if you want to take the time to spend and listen to podcasts and all the things that our great people at Ski Industry Association, Ski Area Management, the National Ski Area Association, who wrote the base model for their COVID plans that had to get approved by Health Department. Yes, they did a lot of work over the summer. Yes, they know they're going to lose 50% of their profits. It's no lie. They know it. And they're actually been working their tails off to try to get you to get out to get a little bit of slope time. Again, thank them. They've been doing the hard work. So that's what they're doing. You can click on any of these and learn exactly what they did. Some lowered the amount of passes. Some set up a bunch of systems for reservation or parking. But any way they could restrict you, they had to. It's not their call. It is the health department, not even the governor's call, not the president's call. Learn how local government works. Next thing, state travel guides. Now, I run a team of 30 people. They're located in about 10 states. Most of us are in the Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia. So we know where all the resorts are. And quite frankly, my guys are hard charged. Guys and gangs and girls are hard chargers. They just want to get out and ski and race. Well, there is no racing. There's probably not going to be much skiing. And I told them that 2 months ago. I've been looking at this stuff for a long time. So what I see today is nothing surprising for me, but probably surprising for most of you. And I'm sorry I'm a little bit upset, but you can tell. It starts getting on my nerves. How many people have no clue? So let's go in here. So in the states, I'm going to click on Pennsylvania right now because that's where everybody in my area likes to go. So Pennsylvania did a marvelous job of actually explaining in English what you can and can't do. And it's very specific. So go ahead and read it yourself. But every time you go there, you either need to quarantine or have a negative test in hand. Now, negative tests. What they're seeing now is people abusing the free tests. They're going to start tracking you, and you're going to probably start having to pay for those tests that you want to take every week so you can go skiing, because you shouldn't be overloading the system for people that need it for non-leisure activities. I'm sorry, I love skiing too, but they figured it out. They're not that dumb. So again, do you want to pay money for a test each week to go skiing, which costs less than the test costs? And again, watch it happen. It probably will very soon. They can't keep testing. Maryland tested yesterday or the day before at almost 60,000 tests in a day. They cannot keep that volume up. And it really should be for people who are sick or want to really have a need to know, not because they want to go skiing once a week for 10 weeks and get 10 more tests that they don't need. Now, what's funny is Maryland, so I called Maryland and I said, hey, I'm going to go out to Somerset where they have a 20% count, which is a hot zone for COVID. PA is going to ask me to have a test. They're going to ask me to sign affidavits, a testament that I've done all these things like followed the rules, and that's a legal document. So if you don't, they now have a way to come back and sue you or fine you. Pennsylvania fines are $25 to $300. Again, you may end up paying more to go skiing than the lift ticket was worth. But I don't know if they're going to enforce it. I do know they have tag readers. They see it on the cell phone. They're going to have your name and number when you sign up and reserve. It's not like they don't know who you are. If you do get a contact trace, then you may be required to stay in that state for 14 days at your expense. Again, I don't make this up. All you need to read, and unfortunately most people don't. But Pennsylvania did a wonderful job. Maryland doesn't really explain it well, and I have calls into the health department and the powers to explain that. If I went to a hot zone in PA, leisurely, stayed there for 2 or 3 days, Pennsylvania requires me to test. When I come back to Maryland, there really isn't much requirement, and I bet they're going to figure that out and change that. Sorry, I made the call. But you get the point. Each state has their own way to do it. Let's look at Vermont. Vermont being probably the hardest on travel, and you can read it here. It's suspended its legal travel map. They don't want you coming. Okay, there's their map. This is all the people that aren't supposed to come to Vermont. And of course, they listed at 800 cases a million. Yes, you need to divide it back out to get your cases by 100,000. But you see the point. Vermont doesn't want you to come, and that's why their infection rates are so low, as we saw on the map before. Again, Maine, I think just nobody goes there. It's too cold. But anyway, the next problem you have is if you look at southern states like a Florida, they're going to do better under COVID. Why? They have higher humidity. People are outside more. Northeast, cold climates, what happens? We all get indoors more. Our air is no humidity. It literally, I can see it on my humidity meter. As soon as I put on the natural gas heat, humidity goes from 60% down to like 35 and 40. So you might want to up the humidity in your house. Lastly, you can go here. I don't have every single state. I've got New York, Massachusetts, Colorado. Let's look at Colorado, because everybody thinks I just make up numbers. This is where you go. The .gov is official, not MSN, not the news, not somebody's opinion, not a forum, not on Facebook. Go to the source. So in here, you're going to see they have a nice colorful map. The problem is they make it kind of tough to get to the restrictions. So if you click on the show guidelines and restrictions, there's this nice little map that nobody can read. So if you go down here in your level of restrictions, you can zoom up a little bit. So right now we're basically, if you notice, the limited capacity is at 50%. It talks about like your ski resorts and all that. Don't have to make it up. But as you see, as the level to get worse, and we predict them to get worse, they will drop those resorts down to 25%, and then the next drop is what? Total closure. Now, I think they're going to close somewhere in this country. They are probably going to close hopefully only for a week or two and see the effect. Maybe for the whole season. I don't know. But Europe basically closed. Europe took a $53 billion hit to their industry because of that, because they saw the cases were going up. And I know Europe is a big place, but everybody hangs out in the huts and the lodges, and then you get the spread. So again, none of this is heavy science. Everything you need to know is actually in front of you. None of you are going to look, and hopefully after you see this little video, you might take some notice and A, not think Mr. Ed is crazy, and B, realize that your government and people that have to make these hard decisions, they don't want to do this, okay? Politicians want your tax money. They don't want businesses going under, okay? Now they all have to cut. They don't like cutting budgets. They don't seem to do well at that. They like spending your tax money. So again, believe what you want. It's not a hoax. Had nothing to do with Trump. Had nothing to do with anything. It happened. And it either happened because it was planned, okay, as an attack by a nation state. It was an oops. Or it was one of those historical cleansing of your planet. And they've been happening at least back to 500 BC, because I got a minor in history. So if you want to talk history, I can do another video for that. Again, I'm like a human machine of data. I don't know why I'm made that way. I wish I wasn't. And it drives me crazy. And it gives me great pain. And I'm basically coming out of not caring anymore. I can't help everybody. So there you go. You have your data. Go take a look. You're welcome to come to my page, which is under skidome.org, and under Zardoz Renegades, or Zardoz Ren as we call it. And or on my Skedome page or the Zardoz team page. If you just click to the right here called COVID info, it'll take you there, and then you can see what I'm looking at on the screen here. Again, I wish it didn't happen. What you can do, messed that up. Let's go back to that page. Sorry. Sit and spin. And we'll get there in a second. All right, there you go. And we'll click on COVID info. Whoops, there we go. It's early, like not even 6 a.m. So in here, I have ski industry. These are all drop downs. This UI is designed for what we call the cell phone small format. And you can learn those tips at usability.gov. Government does a great job because it's really hard to work off a cell phone. So we also cover HOPE and studies. So if you want to see all the studies, there's like 30,000 studies now. I can't even keep up. Goes over there's at least 25 vaccines that are coming on board. We know of the 3 here that the FDA will probably get approval for. You can go into clinicalstudies.gov. You can read up. You can look at remdesivir and dexamethasone, which is your steroid, and see why when you do get in the hospital, you're going to have to be there for at least 5-6 days. But you're probably going to have a less stay because we actually have some therapy. And that's why our death rate from COVID went from about 9%. We're down to about 3%. And no, it's not a regular flu. Regular flu is less than 1%. So again, stop saying it's a flu. It's not. Okay? There's so much data that proves that it's not. For kids, everybody wants to rush to school. Well, here, please, you can look at all the data from kids. There's at least probably 300 pages now. And right now, when I looked at it, this was a month ago, over 1 million kids had been infected. And again, there may be long-term effects on their organs and their body. Do you want to make that call for your kids because you want them to go to school, because you need to go to work so you can pay for your toys and your big house and your expensive cars? You're driven by money. Most of us are slaves to our toys. And I'm sorry to be so abrupt, but I can tell why your kid... Look, teaching your kid is not easy at home. I'm a granddad. It's a lot easier for a granddad because we can do cool things and they listen a little better. But I hear you. I know it's hard to teach your kids. And then when all this is done, you're really going to appreciate your teachers a lot more. So I'm sorry to be so forceful in my voice content, but I've been harping this stuff now for 2 months, and I get really tired of going over it when everybody says, well, where do you get your data? So now I got a video, and you all can watch that and know where I get my data. Thank you so much. Have a great day.